When we look at today, there is, for me, one thing that stands out. It's that the conference was not just about technology, but also a lot about courage. Because 10 years ago, the idea of just hop on the vehicle, just travel, and then the systems takes care of the rest, was very ambitious. And yet here we are today. Millions of users, millions of journeys. We've seen it, entire countries moving, and a systems that in many places works just like that. This morning, John Mattia reminded us about where it all started with a very simple thought. What if the users didn't have to understand the tariffs anymore? Not the zones, not the rules, not the grandpa ticket vending machines, but just travel. And when you think about it, the idea itself is still radical today, because making something truly simple is way harder than it sounds. And yet, this is what we do every day, removing the complexity for users.
And the vision has not changed at all. We still want to provide the simplest way to everyday mobility for everyone, everywhere. But as you've also seen today, our products have evolved, and also our expectations towards our products. We structured them a little bit as well. So for users, no surprise, they should be simple and they should be relevant. But we've also learned, and we also want to make them accessible to everyone. And also we know to get to everywhere, for the industry, we need to be sure that we can be revenue maximizing for public transport, which also means modal shift inducing, because that modal shift will also bring the revenue, and to be cost efficient with that. Now, the asterisk has changed as well. We have believed in mobile since 10 years, we still do. We do think that to be cost efficient, you need to be mobile first, because the mobile phone, the smartphone, it reuses the hardware that is already in users' pockets, so that reduces the need for additional hardware that is expensive to buy and inflexible. It also is so smart that you have a lot of technology in there that makes, by now, the B&B out possible. You can have the truly frictionless experience with the smartphone. And lastly, it's also the perfect interface to give the user the right information in the right moment. But we have also, well, it is clear that not everyone has a smartphone. So there is groups like young kids, there's people who don't want to buy their ticket with the smartphone, and that is a part of the population as well. That is why when the Danes came to us with the challenge, we jumped on it right away. And we started building with them together a solution that is for those non-mobile users, but also gives easy access. What the Danes call the basiskort, and for us is FAIRTIQ Tap. Now, today, we've seen a lot of the developments and what is already happening in those areas. We saw how mobile pay-as-you-go can already change and simplify the lives of an entire nation. We have heard how we can make that even more simple in the future with B&B Out, with a ticketing system that really just runs in the background and takes care of all of the rest. We have heard how important it is to make also mobile apps accessible to everyone who has a mobile phone, and how far FAIRTIQ has come in that area in the last, well, months and years with both a certification, but I can also truly say with a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and a lot of learnings on the way. And we've heard how to use that app interface to induce modal shift, to nudge travel behaviors, to get people to choose sustainable modes of transport in their daily lives. And we've heard how to build a system together that can actually replace old channels and through that really be cost efficient.
But there is more, and we both know that the apéro has never been closer, but still let's a little bit of time to dream about the next 10 years and where it will bring us next. So once all these elements are consolidated with Bibo at their heart, there is something interesting that happens. Is that ticketing stops being the one thing we built. It becomes the foundation for everything else. So once you remove the friction, once the access is really simple for the users and even almost invisible, you can start building completely new or continue developing experiences on top of it. So experience that guide the users and that encourage and increase their confidence in public transport and make it a more natural choice in their daily lives. So we just want to highlight 4 directions that goes into that direction. First, we want our users to travel between FAIRTIQ regions without having to think about the borders. Imagine just traveling between Basel, Mulhouse, and Freiburg without noticing when one region stops and when the next one starts. A true kind of Schengen experience for public transport. We want this simplicity with no limits. And together with our partner in Eastern Switzerland and Western Austria, we are bringing to life truly simple ticketing for also cross-nation travel. And we aim for the full seamless experience for the users.
What we can also do is rethink information, not as something that you have to go look for actively, but something that is brought to you in a relevant and timely way. So, as we've discussed also in the morning with the timetable, we have made a very first step in this direction to have the relevant information in the app, but it will get really interesting when you combine it with B&B Out and make it much more proactive. So just imagine leaving your place in the morning, maybe still a bit sleepy, and you have B&B Out activated, so this you don't have to take care of, and then there is the push notification, look, actually, are you going to work? Because that bus is a little bit delayed. So you just have the time to get that coffee and start your day in a relaxed way.
We also want to continue drive behavior, not through rules or constraints, but through incentives. These nudges that we talked about, rewards, but also just small signals that help guide decisions and encourage a more confident and frequent use of public transport. We started in that direction with the bonus 2.0 that you heard before in the panel, and by linking the right frequency and the automatic discounts, we want to help reward the regular usage of the app, of the application, by also keeping it simple and developing the long-term relationship that we need with the users. Over time, we want this experience to be even more engaging, more fun with some gamification, and here it's not just about money, it's also about how we help the users use the app, but also more personal. And we want to kind of position the app not only as a ticketing platform, but as a mobility loyalty solution that in the end helps drives the modal shift and encourage more sustainable travel behavior.
And then we can also rethink mobility overall. Today, we cover, let's say, the traditional public transport, and that takes care of a lot of our lives, but it falls short in a lot of moments. So when we integrate also services like on-demand and other mobility services that maybe don't even exist yet, because all of that space is evolving as well, then we can cover user groups and needs and moments that maybe today are really fallen short by the traditional networks. So that we can be during the night, can be rural areas, the first and last mile, and integrate that all into one experience. Now, with all of these directions, what becomes clear is none of those is, let's say, centrally about ticketing or improving ticketing, but it's really about shaping how people move. And that is what it's about.
Everything we have heard today, and it was said already from the first pilot to the regional rollout to what is happening in Denmark right now, has been built together in this co-creation spirit. And the next phase will even more be a joint effort, because these directions, they all require further experiments to test the concepts, to adjust to reality and to scale it. Because the real questions, they are not really technical, they are about how do we improve access to mobility, how do we guide behavior, how do we connect systems to make cross-border travel possible.
And with all of that, we can imagine a future where all across Europe and beyond, people choose sustainable mobility. Not because they have to, but because it's the most natural choice available to them. Wherever you go, you have access to public transport or other modes. You have all the relevant information available to you without any local knowledge. And that because they have trust in us, because they have trust in you, and in a growing network of partners who benefit from each other. So what we want to end with is we're only getting started. We're super excited to be building this with you. And let's make it real.